So how do you find motivated sellers? We talk a lot about in this business that you just get a contract with a motivated seller, sell that contract for a profit. But how do you actually do that? Hey, what's up, YouTube? My name is Graylan Stewart. Thanks for joining me today. I am a virtual wholesaler and real estate investor. We wholesale houses nationwide. We do focus on a couple of markets specifically, but we do deals all over the United States. And our number one exit strategy in our real estate business is wholesaling houses. So thanks for joining me again. So if you're new to my channel, please like and subscribe. Share this content so it can help other people as well. But if you are new, you're in for a treat because all I do all day, every day in my business is wholesale houses. So if you want to learn the game, I give you the good, the bad, and the ugly of the business. I've spent over $250,000 over the last 4 years just learning and implementing all the things that I talk about on this channel. So it's a cheaper way for you to get it done without having to go through it yourself. So anyways, we talk about motivated sellers, right? That was probably one of the biggest things when I very first got started. It was hard for me to comprehend why somebody would sell their house at pennies on the dollar. I've always known about the county assessor and I've always heard about real estate in the past, but I never really understood how people made money in real estate. It didn't make sense to me. And it's just because of knowledge. Knowledge is power, and you don't know what you don't know, pretty much, right? So, I used to look on the county assessor, who knows, 10 or 15 years ago, just kind of looking at houses. You can see my friend or so-and-so just bought a new house. Let's look it up on the county assessor, see how much they paid. But then every once in a while you come across a property to where, it's like across the street. All of a sudden somebody's moving into a house and you're like, that house never even was for sale, right? And now somebody new's moving in. Where'd the other people go? You know what I mean? You've probably seen similar situations. So in those cases, I would look that up on the county assessor again, and it would show that they bought the house, let's just say for $150,000, and when all the other houses around it might be worth $200,000 or $250,000 even. So, and then I wonder, like, well, that house never even went for sale, and they paid way below market value. How is this even possible? What do they know that I don't know, right? And it took me years before I finally knew. Now that I'm in real estate and I got into wholesaling, that's how it's done. People are going direct to seller, advertising and marketing to these people. Now, you can do this in a lot of different ways. I pretty much do every marketing strategy there is, and I'm not saying that's the right way to do it, but that's just what I do now. But when I started out, I did direct mail. So you can literally buy a list from a couple of different sources. I've got links in my description that can help you with that as well. But you can go to like PropStream or something like that, buy you a list of motivated sellers, any kind of list you want. It could be just high equity. They have a lot of equity in their property. So you know that there's a deal because you need equity in wholesaling. In a traditional wholesale deal, you have to have equity for there to be, money for you to make and money for your buyer to make. But you can also pull like lien lists on there, divorce lists, out-of-state owners, tired landlords, all types of different lists that you could buy from there. But you can also drive around in your neighborhood. Like, knowing what I know now, it makes sense to me how somebody would have got that property across the street at a big discount. They might have just drove by the house and noticed that it was kind of dilapidated or falling apart a little bit or needed some attention because of the overgrown grass or the overstuffed mailbox or the high weeds or, bushes not trimmed and things like that. Maybe there's tarp on the roof. Maybe there's a window or two boarded up. Maybe the siding's fallen off or the brick is corroding. Whatever the case, the house could look distressed. So you could drive around your neighborhood and write those addresses down. Simply go to the county assessor to find out who the owner is. And then go to websites that are free like truepeoplesearch.com. That's just one example. You could just type that name in and find a phone number. You might get 3 or 4 different phone numbers, but call them all. Chances are you'll probably reach that person. And then ask if they're interested in selling. If they are interested, just get them talking about the house. What's going on with the house? Why are you even considering selling? I know I just called you out of the blue, but why would you even consider an offer? And they might tell you. They might just go into a big, long story of who knows what, and it will basically unfold all the issues in their life going on. So it's your job as a wholesaler to solve those issues. That's how we make money. Well, I can solve that. So that makes sense why you didn't, have money to fix your roof or whatever's going on. You can just kind of unfold all those things, and then that kind of anchors, all those things can anchor your low price and justify it. You know what I mean? So, but as far as how you find these, you can do advertising to where sellers are actually calling you, things like TV and radio, billboards, yellow page ads, which is kind of old school. But those are all the things that kind of get your phone ringing, people calling you. Or you can actively pursue these people, like driving for dollars. When you drive around making those lists, you're calling on these people. Or you can just straight cold call lists, or you can send mass text or mass RVMs, which is ringless voicemail, which some of those things you got to be more careful with these days. But nevertheless, you can actively pursue sellers with a lot of these marketing methods, or you can do the methods that kind of get your phone ringing. Another one is like direct mail. That could be either or. You're actively pursuing sellers, but at the same time, they're calling you back. So a lot of times it's a warmer lead. Sometimes they're calling you just because they're mad that you're even reaching out to them. But a lot of times it's a motivated seller, which is a qualified lead. So those are the kind of deals that you want. That's the kind of people you want to talk to. So it all comes down to having conversations with sellers, just being real. There's no magic formula or special sauce or even scripts. None of that really matters. What really matters is that you care and you want to listen to what the seller has to say. And you're just asking for more information every time they talk to you about their property, or they give you maybe the roof and the HVAC and the flooring issues. Okay, tell me more. What about your electric? What about the plumbing? Just keep asking questions. And the more and more they talk, the better it is, okay? But also keep in mind, you always want to get a number out of them, get a price out of them. Because if they give you a price first, not only are they more motivated, but now you know what their price is to where you have somewhere to work with, right? Because if they're priced at $80,000 and the house is worth $90,000, it's probably not a deal wholesale wise. It's a deal in other cases, but for wholesaling, we need equity so that we can make a profit and our end buyer can make a profit. But if they're telling you a number like 80, then you at least have somewhere to work with. Oh, really? How'd you come up with that number? Well, houses in my neighborhood are going for 80. The house across the street just sold for 80,000 last week. Okay. And then can you give me that address? Yeah, it's just 123 Main Street, right across the street from mine. So you can look that house up while you're on the phone with them and just say, hey, actually, I'm looking that up online right now. Man, they've got all new appliances. It looks like they have new flooring, new paint. Looks like their roof was done just a couple years ago. Would you agree that yours is in exactly the same shape as theirs? No, well, mine needs work. Mine needs a new flooring. I've never had new appliances. My HVAC went out a year ago. They might just start telling you all the problems of their house. Therefore, you can say, well, Mr. Seller, you can agree that your house is definitely not the same as that house. So they went for 80,000 because it was, in 2022 perfect condition standards, right? But your house needs some work. So work with me. What's the best you can do in the current as is condition? Things like that. You just got to be proactive in your questions and really listen twice as much as you talk. Because I've seen people make that mistake. People that have worked for me have made that mistake. They want to talk a lot because they have all the knowledge, but really the power is in listening to what your seller has to say. Because then, if you listen correctly, listen to everything, you're taking notes while they're talking. But then that's all, for lack of better terms, that's all kind of ammunition for your lowball offer. Because really what we do, guys, we pay retail for every house that we get, if you really think about it. Because we pay the retail price for the condition it's in currently, right? Obviously, we're not going to pay $80,000 for a house that needs $30,000 in work, right? No, that doesn't make sense to anyone. But really, we're paying retail prices for the property in its current condition. So really, it's not even a lowball offer. It's an offer based on the condition it's currently in. We're going to bring it back to life to make it worth that $80,000. So hopefully that makes sense. But that's really kind of the mindset you got to have. We're not really, because I know we get that stigma in wholesaling or, cash buyers that even go to direct to seller. They get the stigma of, you're just lowballing me and trying to steal my house or get it at too cheap or whatever it is. And really, that's not the case. We're really paying for the house of what it's worth in the current conditions. So So keep that in mind, and that's all it is. So we're getting opportunity because we have the knowledge and power and the cash buyers and the wherewithal to actually buy that property at its current condition value and then make it worth way more than it actually is right now because we see the potential in it and what it could be. So anyways, this whole video wasn't even for that, kind of got off on a tangent, but it's about how do you find these motivated sellers. So you can even pull lists from your actual county, go down to the county, you can get probate lists, water shut-off lists, you can get lists from all the people that have, like weed liens, different kind of liens on their house that the county did because they didn't take care of their property, trash liens even, things like that. A lot of that stuff is free at your county, or you can pay a small minimal fee, and sometimes they'll give it to you that way. But in most cases, it's free. But probate lists is really good. If you don't know what a probate is, it's basically a house that somebody inherited, but the paperwork wasn't done properly. So for whatever reason, they are not allowed to sell it unless that house goes through probate. So when a probate attorney gets involved, their whole goal is to liquidate that property because that's when they get paid. Liquidate all the assets and the property specific because that's usually the biggest asset, that they have to get rid of. So that's their job. So you can even reach out to actively pursue probate attorneys because they definitely have leads. They definitely want to sell these properties. So why not sell it to us because we're actively pursuing these kind of properties. So there you go. That's another little nugget that you could do right there to just get you some free list. You could literally just do some direct mail to probate attorneys or cold calling a probate attorney list and then make you be their go-to guy whenever they need to offset these properties and offload them. So anyways, hopefully all that made sense, guys. This is a pretty simple, basic video, but it's really about marketing and advertising. You have to always be marketing and advertising for these off-market deals. That's the only way you can get consistent leads, which equals consistent deals, contracts, and consistent paychecks. So that's why I choose to do kind of all methods, but you definitely don't need to. And I definitely advise you not to when you first start out. Do 1-2 marketing methods at the most because you want to really perfect those before you move on to other things. Like when I first started, I did direct mail exclusively because I already had a marketing company and we were a highly direct mail driven company. So I already understood it and knew about it and knew how it worked and understood all the ins and outs of it. So that's where I started. That's the only reason I chose that because I knew it. But yeah, I made probably my first, 15 to 20 deals was all from direct mail. Several $100,000 probably before I even moved into another marketing channel. But quickly after that, I started doing RVMs and cold calling. And then today, fast forward almost 4 years, we do basically everything you could think of. So, but they all work is the point. Almost all marketing channels work. Now, different ones work at different times for whatever reason, but just because that's just the way it is. Sometimes direct mail is not going to work through the holidays because people are focused on their family, buying gifts and things like that. So obviously, if that's when you choose to start your direct mail campaign, probably won't work for you. So you're going to feel jaded or feel a certain way about that because it didn't work for you. So it's all about timing on some of these things as well. And then even if you decided to do cold calling and you're only doing it, from 8 to 10 in the morning, maybe that may not work for you either. Most people are probably already at work. So if that's all you did was cold calling from 8 to 10 in the morning for 2 or 3 months, it probably didn't work for you, because you didn't do it at the right times potentially, or a lot of times marketing doesn't work because people don't do it long enough. I've been in advertising sales, a lot of my adult life, and anything you do marketing and advertising wise, you want to do it consistently over time because usually a good 3-6 month is a good test to see how it really works for you, to be able to really judge that entire time period. Because sometimes it takes a little while to gain traction on these marketing channels, but once you do, it's kind of like it's just going on its own. You start bringing in a lot of leads because it becomes more and more familiar to people, especially when you're doing TV and radio. People are just hearing you and watching you over and over, and eventually after they've heard you several dozen times, it starts clicking. Well, actually, I do have a house that I should probably sell. There's the guy, I just heard him on the radio or just saw him on the TV, or I just got his postcard or whatever. So the moral of the story is you can find off-market deals everywhere. That was, like I said, my hardest thing I could believe, that somebody would sell their house pennies on the dollar, and really it's because the house needs a ton of work and the seller needs a ton of help. So we're there to save the day, to help them out. But you got to actively pursue these people in a lot of cases. But nevertheless, whatever marketing channel you decide to do it consistently, because consistency over time always pays off. I don't care what kind of marketing channel it is. It typically will always work if you just keep tweaking it a little bit and you're learning along the way, and you over time you can kind of look back on it and see that actually you did get a return on it. So that's my story for today, guys. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you very much. Please like, share, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one.